Hey guys, Moose here. Welcome back to another episode of Stonehearth. There's a lot going on right now, not just for Stonehearth, but for me as well. We just had our second stream on Twitch on Thursday. We got another one coming up today, actually, if you're watching this video the day it comes up, on Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. as per usual. Probably going to play some more birthdays beginning, but I'm toying with the idea of playing another game. But feels good. There's a lot of interesting dynamics about that situation that I'll probably get into a little bit later in this episode, but let's start off talking about Stonehearth here. One really interesting thing happened. I don't generally read news that much for games, especially like updates and things of that nature, so I just noticed on the Steam page for Stonehearth when I was launching the game to begin this recording session that they changed the roadmap and how they plan on developing this game, which is actually really good to see because the game needed it, frankly. And I think if you've watched a lot of these videos, you know, I've made some complaints about the way the game works and things, and it's a little stagnant. You can see from what we're playing, you know, there's not that much going on. We're trying to do things like build structures and stuff, but really it's all about, you know, we have to make our own fun here. That's what it's boiling down to. So previously, what they were saying was that their previous logic was primarily focused around not gameplay, but features, which is a mistake, I think, from a game design standpoint. And I chalk that up to the, you know, this is a new developer. They haven't made a lot of games before. I don't think they've made any games before. Maybe one or two, but it's, you know, this is, I think, pretty clearly the largest one they've ever made, so you know, it's reasonable to say they don't necessarily know everything about what they're doing, you know? I've been on YouTube for about 6 months now. I don't know everything about being a YouTuber. And, you know, sure, they've been developing Stonehearth for a lot longer than 6 months, but just the same, you know, it's reasonable to say, hey, you know, there's things about this process that they're still learning and working on. And it's kind of nice to see a developer talk about that and kind of go into depth and say, look, previously we were gameplay driven, or we were feature driven. But you can tack on as many features as you want. It's not really going to necessarily add up to a good game unless you're focused primarily on the gameplay. And they kind of talked about that and talked about some of the input they'd received from other designers and developers who were interested in sharing that information with them and talking to them about, hey, here's what you might consider doing. And it was a really good read. You know, there were some typos, which was not. That's not how many I can make. I did that math wrong. That should be 17. You know, there's some typos that worry me, kind of. And, you know, everyone makes mistakes, but here's my perspective on that. I believe it's led by the programmer. I think the lead guy is a programmer. That's usually how it goes with indie titles like this, so I could be wrong, but I think that's the case. So you can't make typos in programming. You need to be specific and detailed and have things be correct, otherwise it's a serious issue, you know, because there'll be a bug, some command won't be recognized the way it needs to be, and now your game doesn't work. That's not the right button. That is the right button. Why isn't... I thought it went bigger than that. Oh well. So, I think to be a programmer, to be a good programmer, you have to be a very detailed individual. And generally, if you're a detailed individual, you're not going to make errors. Like, one of the ones I noticed was continent instead of content. Or, you know, it could have been some... Maybe he meant continent, and he just... English isn't his first language, and that, you know, that's fair. So maybe I'm jumping on him on for I thought I noticed a couple more though, but you know, if you're detail orientated, you're not going to be putting out stuff like that. And the other thing is, even if you want to say, well, it doesn't speak to the quality of his work, it's not, you know, that's not a reasonable conclusion to draw. Yeah, I can get behind that argument. I kind of get, I could agree with someone arguing that, so I'm not going to harp on it too much, but on the flip side, this is a business that's taking money. I think in any kind of a professional setting, if you're expecting to create and I apply this to my side of it as well, it's a little bit different because this is inherently much more informal, and also none of you are paying me directly for anything. That's not correct. This is correct. You know, no one here is putting their credit card info and saying, "Hey, Electronic Moose, take $20 of my money for your videos." No one's doing that. So it's a little bit different, but I think in any kind of a situation like this where you're creating a product and you're putting it out there, you need to have a certain level of professionalism, and that means as much as possible not doing things like having typos. And I worry about that, because you always want to be putting your best foot forward and being a professional, at least on the public side. You know, within your own business, interacting with coworkers and employees, you know, that's a much more constant flow of interaction, and it's harder to maintain that level of professionalism in that scenario. But when you're interacting with the public, you cannot fuck up like that. I mean, I don't really mean fuck up like that because it's a minor thing, but my mentality is like, there's no room for that. You need to be on it. You need to be accurate, correct thing. You can't make a mistake like that, in my mind. If it was my business, that would be my attitude. Everything gets proofread. See, I mean, everyone makes mistakes, but there's a difference between writing up like a blog post and talking through a 20-minute video. One of those you can prevent errors on. This one you can kind of prevent errors, but, you know, not generally. At the end of the day, you're going to make some mistakes, and that's part of it. It's about a margin, and I think the margin, if you're writing, is basically zero if you're trying to show yourself as a professional. But anyway, all that nitpicking aside, which is absolutely nitpicking, I don't expect anyone else to care anywhere near as much as I do about that at all, because it's not something that you would normally care about, and that's fine. I don't expect anyone to care about it, and I don't expect it to be considered to be even an issue, because it really isn't I mean, it is a little bit, you could argue that it is, but it's really not a significant issue in any way. So I don't know. I just worry about it, but it is very good to see that they're understanding that, look, you know, you can make features all day. Features don't make a video game. How those features interact with each other makes a video game. You can have an amazing game that has almost no features, like 2 or 3 features and simple gameplay mechanics, but it's a fantastic game. It's not about features. It's never been about features. Features are at best marketing fodder, you know. The implication when you talk about a feature is always that, hey, you know, this is going to be an entertaining gameplay mechanic, much more so than, hey, this feature is inherently fun, because no feature is inherently fun. That's just not how it works. So anyway, but yeah, there, you know, some new stuff on the horizon for Stonehearth, so they're changing how they operate, and hopefully that leads to some even better results. The game's pretty decent right now. Definitely needs work. It's definitely unfinished, but you know, everything you can do to improve is always a good thing. Improvement is always good. Obviously, there's probably some situation you can come up with where it's not good, where you'd be better off just leaving the product as it is, but forget nitpicking. Anyway, all that aside, like I said, we got streaming going on, which has been kind of interesting. Now I've been through 2 streams and kind of getting a feel for it and trying to kind of understand the mechanics of it, how it works, what I should expect, what I need to do, finding my rhythm to a degree. Like I said, I've been on YouTube for 6 months now. I've been putting out videos for 6 months. I've pretty much made, on average, I think I'm right around 2 a day right now, average. This is Sunday, so there's only 1 today, but there have been days in the past where I put out 3 a day pretty consistently, so I think I'm right around 2 a day average. But anyway, point is, I'm relatively practiced at the YouTube stuff, even though I'm definitely not anywhere near mastery of this process. But basically what I'm getting at is I'm sort of in a weird, like I'm trying to... Anytime you're working, one of the most important things is motivating yourself and giving yourself, like, not just a reason to do what you're doing, but a reason to be excited about what you're doing, to be pumped up about it, to have energy, especially with something like this where energy is a big deal. And I know I'm not a very high energy guy. You might notice in this episode I'm a little quiet and kind of laid back, and that's because it's 2 in the morning. Because I had a lot going on today. Saturday I got calls from my boss, so I had to jump in and take care of a few things, unfortunately. So I kind of got stressed out over that and just wanted to relax. And then before I knew it, you know, hey, I've been playing PUBG and watching Twitch streams all day. It's suddenly 2 a.m. Shit, I need to record a video. Because I normally get all my recording done on Saturday. It's just this Saturday particularly got kind of out of control. So got pushed back, had to record late at night. And I know that happens relatively often, but I don't want to, you know, piss off neighbors by being loud or anything. And I'm also pretty tired. So that's why I'm a little low energy in this video. But even without that being a factor, I'm just not a high energy guy. And I'm used to going in like 20-minute sprints, you know? I go 20 minutes for a YouTube video. Maybe sometime, okay, we're talking about Darkest Dungeon. Maybe it gets up near an hour. Go 40 to 50 minutes sometimes. Fine. Those are exceptions, and honestly, I get pretty exhausted after doing those. But that's my rhythm. That's what I'm used to for a video. So transitioning over to a stream, which in many cases is much longer than the ones that I'm doing. I'm only doing hour-long or 2-hour-long ones, which I kind of feel like I'd rather do longer ones. I just don't have the time with my day job to do that. It's more of a marathon. And usually that's not as bad, and I think it's more tolerable because generally if you're a streamer, sorry, I need to do the math here. Let's just call it 25, let it roll. Normally if you're a streamer, right, you have one of two things. And usually you have both, I think, in my experience. So a lot of the guys that I watch generally, for the majority of their stream, they're playing something multiplayer and they've got other people they're talking to on the stream. So they have other commentators providing content, basically, and interaction. And then the other thing they have is Twitch chat to play off of and interact with. And you can say what you want about Twitch chat and so stupid childish memes and all this stuff. I personally enjoy that. I know not everyone does, but you also have to understand, even if you say that Twitch chat is stupid because of that, not every channel has that kind of chat. Every channel's different, and even just the small selection of guys that I watch, I see differences between each chat, like substantial differences between each chat. So it's not always as simple as just saying, oh, Twitch chat's like this and it's stupid. But point is, generally, if you're a streamer, you want to interact with your chat. That's sort of the whole point of having it there. And that's a benefit. That makes it easier to do commentary because you have something to play off of. You don't have to be constantly coming up with topics, which I happen to be, in my opinion, decent at. Among, you know, the other things are more where I have trouble. Taking that topic and turning it into something interesting to talk about and listen to. My threshold for something being interesting is very low, so for me, I can get very excited about something very simple and mundane, whereas someone else might not have that level of excitement over something as trivial. Like, I can look at a piece of technology and be like, holy shit, this is amazing. Like, can you believe that we have these things? And, you know, that's just from my perspective. I'm only 30. I'm not looking at this as like a 50-year-old who's been alive for, you know, electronics being kind of new and crazy. Or maybe not new and crazy. I mean, electronics were around, but you get what I mean. Like, for me, computers are not that weird. They've mostly been around for my whole life. But I'm still amazed by it. Like, it's still unbelievable that we have phones that can do the level of processing that they do and have the level of visual clarity that they do and the battery life and all these things that go together. It's like, dude, I grew up with a Game Boy Pocket. Like, that was my first gaming platform other than like a PC. That was it. I had Kirby's Dream Land. It didn't have a save feature, and the game was maybe 20 to 30 minutes long. And I loved it. I played it a million times. It was one of my favorite games as a kid. And no color, no anything, like, it, completely crazy. And now we've got everything that we have, and I can look at that and be like, holy shit, this is incredible. But I think for a lot of people, maybe that level of wonder at everyday stuff, just, you can't, they don't have it. And I don't think that's a knock on them, it's just they're different, and that's fine. But, that's not what I meant to hit. But the bottom line is, for me, like, that topic is crazy and entertaining and interesting, but for a lot of other people it probably isn't. And that's maybe where I have some issues maybe with my topic selection, which is understandable. I don't hold that against anyone at all. It's just trying to understand where other people are coming from and what other people want to hear about and talk about and learn about, maybe, if they want to learn. I don't know. But the nice thing is, like I was saying, if you have Twitch chat, you've got something to lean on. You get instant feedback. Hey, is this topic interesting? Are people talking about it? And if they're not, you can switch it up and go to something else, or just steal topics from chat. They start talking about something, join in on their conversation. Sometimes you let them just talk, sometimes you join in. And it's much easier, I think, or at the very least, it's different from a YouTube video where, you really have to pick your own topics and do all the thinking yourself, because no one can comment before the video is made and uploaded and everything else. So it's a very different dynamic. But the problem is, starting out on Twitch, you don't have any of that I just talked about. So really, basically, you've got a 2-hour YouTube video, and you just have to pray that one of these days someone's going to come in and start talking to you. And if you're lucky enough to have friends and family that'll join you for that, then fantastic. But, 1 or 2 people is not really going to make an appreciable difference, because anyone comes in is just going to see the chat is full of one person talking to the streamer, and that's not an enticing proposition for them to join in on the commentary. By the way, I think we're done with the wall here, even though this is still here. Not sure what's going on with that, to be honest, but oh well, we'll figure it out. Maybe there's something internal that needs to be done, I'm not entirely sure. It looks like they need to put these in, and they can't get up. Is that the issue? Yeah, I think I'll put a ladder over on the other side. The pathing is probably too long. Oh, thief approaches. But yeah, so starting out, you don't have any of that. You can't lean on chat because chat's not there, and you can't lean on other streamers because no one wants to stream with you. You're nobody. I can't go to the guys that I'm a fan of and be like, hey, yeah, let me join you on a Discord call, and I'll totally commentate with you in your stream, even though you don't know me, and I'm not like an official anything. I'm nobody. I can't get in on that. And I'm sure there's other nobodies that I could join in with, but then we're back to the whole, well, I've only got 2 hours that I can do this every day. Or not even every day. I really only have 2 hours I can do this 3 times a week. And I'm trying to find a way to increase that, but it's, it's tough. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what the path forward is on Twitch, and trying to figure out, okay, well, now that I'm in it, and I kind of understand what I'm doing, and the content of it, how do I move forward? What do I need to do to make this work? And that's sort of where I'm not struggling. I wouldn't say I'm struggling. I'm just trying to figure it out. And the other thing is, what are you doing here, buddy? The other thing is, I wouldn't go as far as to say that I'm popular on YouTube. 300 subs it's okay. I think it's a start. It's financially insignificant, but it's also, that's 300 people that have felt that my content's good enough that they want to see more of it. And that's really an uplifting feeling, you know? That's 300 people that like what I'm doing enough to come back. And that's a big vote of confidence. 300 is not a small number. Even if they're not, you know, there's no money changing hands there. I'm not getting paid for that, really. Unless you're watching the ads, in which case I might get 1/100th of 1 cent. But, you know, it's still like people are saying, hey, I like this, give me more. And that's a big deal. And it was easy going into this, I think, to keep going, because even when I was just starting out and nothing was really going, I wasn't really getting that many new subs, it was still like, oh, you know, I'm brand new, it's fine, you know, whatever. Things will pick up when they pick up. I'm not going to stress over it. But the problem is transitioning to Twitch is like, I've already got a little bit of a following on YouTube, so I've already gone through that kind of, oh, I'm brand new, no one cares. I'll get bigger as I get, you know, it'll happen when it happens, I'm not going to worry about it. I already went through that. So starting it over again is tolerable, but disheartening. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. We're getting wrecked, but that's because they're not following orders. Fucking, I don't know why I sounded the horn if they're not going to go, you know, hide. Ah, stupid hearthlings. So yeah, it's a little disheartening to go on Twitch and be like, oh yeah, you know, I'll just see what happens, and if I become popular, I become popular. It just, you know, right now it's sort of, oh, you're already back up, huh? Weird. Maybe he's never down to begin with. Well, hopefully they pick everyone up, but I have a feeling it's going to be a bit. We're getting jumped by like every fucking thing. This is crazy. Alright, guys. Military needs to get out here, please. Where are our clerics? Oh, you fucking... They're just not following orders. Okay. But yeah, you know, it's a little disheartening to... oh, there's one. It's just disheartening to kind of start over on a new platform, even though I'm not really starting over. It's just sort of like trying to get going again in a new setting and make everything work. So, takes effort, you know? Takes time and effort. And it'll get there. It's just sort of recalibrating expectations to make sure that mentally I understand, you know, look, it's not going to take off right away. And that's fine. It shouldn't take off right away. So, yeah, anyway, just a little bit of an insight into my mentality going into streaming on Twitch, and also the new developments for Stonehearth if you're interested in those. But that is going to do it for today's episode, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll join us for both the next one as well as the next stream, which again is today from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. PST. If you would care to join us, that's Sunday the... what is it? Sunday the 14th. If you're watching this after the day that it went up, streams are Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. PST. And if you would like to know when I go live, feel free to follow me on Twitter. Links are in the description if you'd like to take a look. You are obviously not obligated to do any of that, but if you're interested and you enjoy the content, please feel free to join us. We'd love to have you. So, like I said, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.